What happens when a simple act of kindness on a desolate trail leads to a mysterious symbol carved into your door overnight? Stay with us as we unravel this extraordinary, true-inspired account that blurs the line between reality and legend. If you love stories that make you question everything you thought you knew, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your support keeps these forgotten tales alive. Now, let's step back in time and discover what really happened on that lonely Arizona trail. The year was 1897. The Arizona Territory stretched wild and unforgiving, where the red dust seemed to hold secrets older than time itself. James Whitlock, a surveyor from Philadelphia, had been hired to map the remote regions near the Superstition Mountains. He was a practical man, a man of science and measurements, someone who believed only in what he could see, touch, and calculate. On a scorching afternoon in late September, James rode his horse along a narrow canyon trail, miles away from the nearest settlement. The silence was absolute, broken only by the rhythmic clop of hooves against stone. That's when he saw her. A woman lay crumpled beside a cluster of prickly pear cacti, her dark hair matted with blood, her breathing shallow. James's heart pounded as he dismounted. He could see she was Apache. Her traditional dress and the intricate beadwork on her moccasins told him that much. In those days, tensions between settlers and Apache tribes still ran high, and many men would have simply ridden past, fearful of trouble or ambush. But James wasn't that kind of man. He approached carefully, speaking softly. The woman's eyes fluttered open, dark and penetrating, seeming to look straight through him. She tried to speak, but only a whisper escaped her lips. James could see her leg was badly injured, twisted at an unnatural angle, likely from a fall down the rocky slope above. Without hesitation, James tore strips, from his own shirt to fashion a makeshift splint. He gave her water from his canteen, precious water in that parched land. The woman watched him with an intensity that was almost unsettling, as if memorizing every detail of his face. James noticed something else, a leather pouch around her neck, decorated with symbols he didn't recognize, and her fingers clutched it tightly even in her weakened state. He couldn't leave her there to die. Using his surveying rope and remarkable ingenuity, James created a travois, a makeshift stretcher that could be pulled behind his horse. Gently he lifted the woman onto it, and though she must have been in tremendous pain, she made no sound. As he secured the ropes, their eyes met, and she spoke a single word in English, "Seen." James didn't understand. "You're safe now," he assured her. "I'm taking you somewhere you can get help." The nearest Apache settlement was nearly 10 miles away, and James knew the risks. He could be viewed as a threat, an intruder, or worse, a kidnapper. But leaving her wasn't an option his conscience would allow. As the sun began its descent, painting the desert in shades of orange and purple, James led his horse carefully through the treacherous terrain, the injured woman silent behind him. Hours later, as darkness fell, he saw the distant glow of fires, the Apache camp. His hands trembled slightly as he approached, raising one arm in what he hoped was a universal gesture of peace. Figures emerged from the darkness, warriors, their faces unreadable in the firelight. James explained as best he could, gesturing to the injured woman. An elderly man, clearly a person of authority with his weathered face and white hair, stepped forward. He examined the woman, then looked at James with eyes that seemed to pierce his very soul. After a moment that felt like an eternity, the elder nodded slowly. They took the woman, and James noticed tears streaming down her face as she was carried away. She looked back at him one final time, her lips moving in words he couldn't hear. The elder approached James, placed a hand briefly on his shoulder, a gesture that felt monumental, then turned away. James understood he should leave. He mounted his horse and rode into the night, his heart still racing. He made it back to his small cabin just before dawn, exhausted but alive. After caring for his horse, James collapsed onto his bed, falling into a deep, dreamless sleep. The next morning, sunlight streaming through his window woke him. James stretched, the events of the previous day feeling almost like a fever dream. He made coffee, splashed water on his face, and opened his cabin door to greet the day. He froze. There, carved deeply into the wooden door, was a symbol. Not scratched hastily, but carved with precision and purpose. It was unlike anything James had seen in his architectural studies or surveying work. The mark consisted of concentric circles with a cross through the center, surrounded by what looked like 4 directional points, and beneath it a series of smaller symbols that resembled mountains or perhaps waves. James's hand shook as he touched the carving. The wood was still fresh, splinters visible in the morning light. Someone had done this during the night, while he slept mere feet away. He had heard nothing. No footsteps, no sounds of carving, nothing. And he was a light sleeper, made even more alert by his recent experience. The isolation of his cabin made it even more unsettling. The nearest neighbor was 5 miles away. Who could have found him here, and more importantly, why? Over the following days, James became obsessed with understanding the symbol. He sketched it meticulously in his journal. He asked the few Apache traders who came through town, but they would look at his drawing, their faces becoming guarded, and refused to speak of it. An old Mexican trader finally gave him a clue. "That is a mark of protection, senor, a sacred mark. Someone has declared you untouchable." The implications slowly dawned on James. The woman he had saved, or perhaps the elder or the tribe itself, had marked his home, not as a threat but as a shield. According to the trader, such symbols were powerful medicine, carved only in the most significant circumstances. As weeks turned to months, James noticed something remarkable. While other settlers in the region reported thefts, threats, and occasional violence, his cabin remained untouched. Even the local wildlife seemed to avoid his property. Other surveyors complained of encounters with hostile groups, but James traveled unmolested through territories others dared not enter. The symbol remained on his door for the rest of his time in Arizona. James eventually learned that the woman he saved was the daughter of a powerful medicine woman, someone revered throughout the Apache nations. His act of compassion, done without expectation of reward, had marked him as someone under sacred protection. James Whitlock kept a journal, and decades later, his grandson donated it to the Arizona Historical Society. The sketch of that symbol remains on its pages, a testament to a time when a simple act of human kindness transcended the boundaries of culture, fear, and misunderstanding. So what do you think? Was this symbol truly protective or merely coincidence? Have you ever experienced something that defied logical explanation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story moved you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Whisper of the Past for more incredible tales from history's forgotten corners. Until next time, remember, the past is never truly silent.